Is it possible to lose fat and gain muscle at the same time?
Anyone with half a brain knows you can't build muscle and burn fat at the same time.
Don't cut. Main gain.
And sure, main gaining is possible, but it has a problem too. You'll never build as much muscle with main gaining as you will with a proper bulk.
Body recomposition, losing fat while building muscle, is absolutely possible. But it only really works if you fit into one of these three categories. Category 1, you're new to lifting or you're out of shape. We're talking less than 6 months of consistent training, or you're coming back after a long break. Category 2, you're skinny fat. You look totally normal in clothes, maybe even lean. But when the shirt comes off, soft midsection, no shoulder definition, arms that look kinda untrained. Category 3, you're anywhere from 25 to 30% body fat or higher, which is you're either overweight or just carrying extra body fat. If you're in one of these three categories, I'm gonna show you the most effective diet and workout split that could literally double your progress in just half the time. And lastly, I'm going to give you a realistic timeline for how fast you can expect to lose 10% body fat, which is basically going from overweight to fit, and how to gain 15 pounds of muscle so you can actually look good without your t-shirt. But before we get into all of this, you should know that none of the things I will say to you will work if you don't know your baseline. What I mean about that is that you need to be in a calorie deficit to lose fat, and you need to hit your protein targets to build muscle. So the first step is to use the free macro and calorie calculator in the first link in the description, because you'll need those numbers for everything I'm about to show you. Alright, what do you actually need to eat if you want to lose fat and gain muscle at the same time? Let's start with fat loss. To lose fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit. That means you need to eat less calories than you burn. And if you don't know how many calories you burn, use the free macro and calorie calculator in the first link in the description. It'll tell you. And there's multiple ways to create a calorie deficit. You can do calorie counting, which is downloading an app on your phone like MyFitnessPal and scan everything you eat and track it all and make sure you're under your numbers. You can also do elimination diets, which is diets like carnivore, keto, vegetarian diets. You eliminate certain food groups, which automatically creates a deficit. An example is carnivore diets. They eliminate carbs from your diet that automatically create a deficit. For vegetarian, the diet is less in protein and fat, and that's automatically create a deficit. There's many more elimination diets though.
I told him I was pescatarian, which is one who eats solely fish who eat other fish.
So I can't do anything about planting new vines. Excuse me, what is that?
That's pescatarian. It's fish
Actually, just bring me one of those.
Me too.
Yeah, waiter, I'll take one.
You can also do intermittent fasting, which basically kind of works the same way. If you, for example, skip breakfast, you automatically create a calorie deficit. The best method is the one you can stick with in the long term, because the person who loves walking is gonna walk way further than the person who loves the destination. So if calorie counting gives you a headache, skip it. If skipping breakfast is ruining your relationship, pick something else. There's many more methods, and maybe the right one for you is a mix of two different methods, like maybe do elimination diets on weekdays and intermittent fasting on the weekends. But whatever method you decide to go with, you should know that the goal isn't perfection. The goal is sustainability. And if you want help figuring out what works for your lifestyle, I offer one-to-one coaching where we build a fat loss system that actually fits your life. That's the second link in the description.
120 grams of protein per day, and that is enough for me to be top 1% optimal in muscle mass.
What should you eat to build muscle while being at a calorie deficit? And the simple answer is
awesome. I love protein.
Are you guys talking about protein? I love protein. I love protein too. Protein rocks. Protein.
How much protein do you really need though? The optimal amount depends on your goal, and what many don't realize also is that protein targets is different when you're gaining muscle versus you're gaining muscle while losing fat. It's a completely different game. So this meta-analysis suggests that more and more protein helps, but the benefits plateau around 1.6 grams per kilo, which is about 0.73 grams per pound of body weight. But here's the thing. almost all the studies in the meta-analysis, people were eating at maintenance calories or in a surplus. So if you're losing fat, maybe 0.73 gram per pound is enough for building muscle. But if you're losing fat at the same time, it's a totally different game. This review on dieting athletes recommend up to 2.4 gram per kilo, which is about 1.1 gram per pound, to keep performance and hold on to as much muscle during a cut. So my golden rule is that regardless if you're bulking or recomping, everyone should at least get 1 gram per pound, even if it might be overkill for some, because there's much more benefits from over-consuming protein versus cons from under-consuming proteins, because most are trying to lose fat regardless if they're building muscle simultaneously or not, and protein make fat loss a lot easier. For example, 1 gram of protein is more filling than 1 gram of carbs or 1 gram of fat. So it helps reduce appetite and hunger levels. Protein also have a higher thermic effect, which means your body burns more calories digesting and metabolizing protein, which can help support your weight loss goals. Also, another reason why I like 1 gram per pound is because it's easy to remember. It's easy math versus a random number based on your lean mass where you need to be a wizard on the calculator to figure out your goals. Remember, consistency starts with simplicity. And I know what you're thinking. Brian Johnson said, you don't need that much protein.
Consume 120 grams of protein per day, and that is enough for me to be top 1% optimal in muscle mass.
Look, I don't want to sound like a meathead, but he's not natty. Brian Johnson takes testosterone replacement therapy, which means he sticks his needles up his ass every single day, which I don't recommend you doing unless you're really insecure. If you're natural, it's not the same game, because when you take testosterone exogenously, which means taking testosterone from outside your body, you could build muscle on a really shitty diet. You could even be jacked without lifting weight. There's literally studies that shows that people on testosterone sitting on the couch build more muscle than natural people working their asses off with a perfect diet. But what exercise and what training should you do to lose fat and build muscle at the same time? For fat loss, what many do when they first want to lose fat is that they start running for fat loss, and that is, in my opinion, a massive mistake, because running, it's amazing for cardiovascular health, stress, and improving your mental clarity. But for fat loss, it kind of sucks. And here's what I mean. Most people spike their cravings after a run. So even if you burn 600 calories, you'll just end up eating those calories back after the run because your cravings are crazy after a run. On top of that, running is high impact. Your knees, your ankles, your joints. If you are overweight, it is brutal to recover from.
Get your ass up and lace them up. Stay hard.
The best way to burn calories is walking. So I was in this island last year called Sardinia. It's in Italy. It's a blue zone, which means it's where people live the longest in the world. Anyways, while I was staying there, it was almost impossible to find any gym in that island. Yet, that's where the place where men lives the longest and are the leanest. And that's what I realized, is that they don't work out to lose fat. They just walk everywhere. Italians have the lowest rate of overweight peoples in Europe. They walk everywhere. Exercise activity thermogenesis, the actual workouts you do in gym, they only make up for 5% of your total calories burned. NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, you walking, fidgeting, standing, small body movements makes up 15% of your daily calories burns. Also, a reason Italians have so high NEAT is probably because they use a lot of hand gestures.
L'entità Kameramann Antonio Margheriti und Antonio's Kameraassistent Dominique de Cocco.
My point is that you don't need a treadmill to boost your NEAT. You need to integrate habits, like going on walks after meals, walking to clear your head instead of scrolling, walking to your colleague instead of sending a message on Slack maybe. And that is the best way to burn fat. Walking. But what is the best way to build muscle? The best way to build muscle is by lifting weight. Shocking. I know. And I'm not going to tell you some hyper-specific advice about optimal hypertrophy range or the best exercise for your rear delts or rhomboids, because honestly, there's too many videos about that shit already. And most of it doesn't even matter, because 60% of your lifting results will come from your diet. The remaining 40%, most of that will come from just you showing up and doing more weight over time, which is called progressively overload. That is it. But here's the problem though. Even though lifting is simple, it's really hard to stick to. And what's stopping most people from seeing real results from the gym isn't bad exercise selection or bad programming. It's inertia. Inertia is an invisible force that makes you want to keep what you're already doing. If you always struggle to get into a routine where you work out regularly, it's not your fault, it's inertia. So Newton's first law of motion says objects that are in motion, they stay in motion, but objects that are at rest, they stay at rest. So this doesn't just apply to physique, it applies to everything, including fitness. If you're already working out consistently, inertia will make it easier to keep going. But if you're hitting the couch after work every single day, it's gonna be hard for you to get your ass to the gym. So to start working out regularly, you need to break inertia. And the key to overcoming inertia is to lower the threshold to get started. And here's just a random example of overcoming inertia. So think about reading. If I ask you to read 500 pages of a book, it'd feel overwhelming. You probably never start. But if I said read 1 page, you're more likely to commit to it, I reckon. And once you read 1 page, you're way more likely just to continue and maybe end up reading 7 pages. And the same goes for workout. Instead of committing to working out 120 minutes 4 times a week for 6 months doing a bodybuilding routine, you should lower the barrier. If you just tell yourself that you are going to the gym just to stretch, that is a small micro commitment that doesn't require a lot of willpower, but I guarantee you, once you finish your stretches, you're way more likely to stick around and do some couple of exercises. And if you do that a couple times a week, it will be much easier for you to consistently start working out regularly, because objects that are in motion, they stay in motion. So make the first step easy so you can break that cycle of procrastination and start building momentum. So demanding programming is why most gym members never break inertia. A lot of PT hands out 90-minute bodybuilding split 4 days a week because they think their client want to look like them.
Y'all like bodybuilders?
Yeah. I like skinny, scrawny guys.
How about multimillionaires? How about talented? How about loving and respectful? I lost my life 10 weeks ago. 21 years faithful, and I run a 6-minute mile. My testimony, I'm nothing but pure, and you like scrawny guys.
We all have a different idea of what a perfect physique should look like, and you don't need to be a bodybuilder if your goal isn't to be a bodybuilder, and you certainly don't need to train like a bodybuilder to get great results. And sustainability beats perfection every time. That's why guys like Joe Rogan, Andrew Huberman are still in great shape in their 50s and have been for 25 years. And they do short kettlebell workouts or 30 minutes bodyweight training. Huberman doesn't even bench, but look at that chest. Damn, what were we talking about again? Also, if you're a busy professional or a parent, you can't spend all day in the gym. It demands time away from your work or your family, and it's just not worth it. By the way, my one-to-one coaching, it includes tailored program that fits your schedule, so you can actually have a program that you can stick with consistently for a long time. But how long does it actually take to gain 15 pounds of muscle without training like a bodybuilder? Gaining muscle in the beginning is easy. Gains comes fast, even if you don't train like a bodybuilder. You can look at hybrid athletes, fighters, or swimmers. They're not really doing bodybuilder split, but they still look jacked. And here's what most people don't realize. Lifting also has diminishing returns. Most of your gains comes in the first 2 years. After that, you gotta train like a bodybuilder just to gain a couple of pounds a year. When you're a novice, you can probably gain 15 pounds of muscle in just 6 to 12 months with solid training and nutrition. I think it took me about 6 months to gain my first 15 pounds of muscle, and I've gained more since then, but the first 15 pounds, they were life-changing. It made me feel so more comfortable in my own skin. It boosted my confidence, helped me in my personal life and also my professional life. If you haven't started your fitness journey yet, I can tell you this thing. The first 15 pounds is the easiest muscle you'll ever gain but they are the most impactful. When it comes to fat loss, you can expect life-changing results in just 3 months. You could go from obese to under 20% body fat and potentially have visible abs in just 3 months. But here's the problem. Most people who lose weight, they gain it all back. Look at contestants at The Biggest Loser or people who lose weight with Weight Watchers. Most people who lose weight, they don't keep it off long term. They just end up yo-yoing the weight. So even though you can lose 10% body fat in just 3 months, which is going from obese to fit, and I've helped many do it, my number one priority with my clients is always finding something sustainable. Because losing weight just to gain it, regain it back in 6 months has zero health benefit. You got zero real life benefits. And we don't rise to our goals. We fall short to the levels of our systems. So for sustainable fat loss, you need a system that make it easy to maintain weight loss, even on your worst days, even when you don't feel like getting your steps in, or when you want to do takeout, or when you go on holiday. And quick fixes, they don't last, but systems do. So here's what you need to remember. Yes, you can build muscle and lose fat at the same time if you're a beginner, but it's not about doing everything perfectly. It's all about building a system that actually works for your life. Build a system that helps you eat less, walk more, lift 2-3 times a week, and get enough protein. That's what it's all about. If you're serious about it and want someone to build you a system that fits your schedule and your lifestyle, I do offer one-to-one coaching with money-back guarantee. So if you don't lose fat or build muscle with me, you don't pay. If you want to do it yourself, no worries. I hope this video helped. Grab the macro and calorie calculator in the second link in the description to get your calorie and protein targets. If you wondered what's the most sustainable way and most effective way to lose fat, you should check out this video because I rank all the most popular methods from A to F tier. Thank you guys so much for watching this video though. Stay healthy, keep thriving, and I hope I see you over there. Peace.